come true. There's no limit to what we can do. Turning no's to yes, leaving doubt behind, releasing the stress. We were born to shine.
You're now tuned in to the Sade Champagne Show. With the cast, Christina Renee, Rick and Melissa Wood, Lisa Lewalt, Veronica Escobar Winners, Ariana Carde, and Ayakule Falama. Celebrity guest interviews, segments on health, wellness, creativity, entrepreneurship, spirituality, hot topics, and more. You're now tuned in to the Sade Champagne Show.
Good evening, everyone. That was Sierra with Promise. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 34 of the Sade Champagne Show on Grind Hard Radio. We only have one more week until our Season 2 finale. Can you believe it? Every episode is available on iTunes. Search the Sade Champagne Show, and you can download them for free. Also, my Sade Champagne YouTube channel is another place where you can listen to the show afterwards. Thanks to everyone for tuning in all around the globe. All the episodes of my show are available at blogtalkradio.com/grindhard_radio. I've also posted the direct link to this episode on my Twitter and Facebook pages, so you can tune in at any time. Thank you to Travis Miller for creating and producing my show's theme song, and to Scott Swish for mixing it. If this is your first time listening, I'm a professional musical artist, performer, inspirational speaker, and entrepreneur. I have created, directed, and executive produced over 200 charitable and inspirational events, including my popular Power of a Dream tour. I love mentoring, coaching, authentically being myself, and using my platform to encourage, empower, and bring out the gold in others. Tonight, our celebrity guests include multi-award-winning and platinum Hungarian pop star Viktor and Wall Street-trained finance professional, published author, and inspirational speaker Ramsey Jay Jr. Viktor won the Hungarian Megastar competition in 2008, and his self-titled album landed in the top 40. With the gold record in hand and the #1 single, Viktor earned 3 nominations for Sexiest Man of the Year from Cosmopolitan, Glamour and Joy magazine. After claiming Best Song of the Year with Fire from his platinum album Third Dimension, he was appointed Best Male Artist by Viva. He is most recently known for being a top 20 finalist on Season 9 of The Voice. He was on Team Adam and Team Gwen. He was a 4-chair turn, y'all. Ramsey Jay Jr. was named by EBONY Magazine as one of the top 30 young leaders under 30. He also hosted an amazing event this year, February 2016. He made the opening remarks at the White House, where President Obama and First Lady hosted an event honoring Ray Charles. In April 2015, Mr. J was the recipient of UCLA's Riordan's Program Inaugural Excellence in Civil Engagement and Leadership Award, recognizing his commitment to serve the community. We also have a brand new Sharing Your Story with Ayakunle segment, What's Going On with Christina Renee segment, and our special guest, Nathan Martell, Living with Fearless Joy with Rick and Melissa segment, and Wellness Made Simple with Veronica segment. This week, my Power of a Dream tour is going to be participating in Red Ribbon Week at Pacific High School. We are very passionate about living a sober and clean lifestyle, and I'm ecstatic because this is one of my biggest passions to share, especially with young people, that you can live your dreams and make an impact in this world. You can have fun. You can be yourself while still being drug and alcohol free. And so I'm excited to be able to encourage students on that. And we're looking forward to a wonderful assembly full of great performances, inspirational messages, and more that we're going to be sharing with them. My Power of a Dream tour is always booking new shows and performances. This fall, we will be in San Luis Obispo, Ventura, Oxnard, Orange County, Fresno, and more. We love traveling, and if you're looking to bring Power of a Dream tour or any of our award-winning, critically acclaimed artists or speakers or performers to your city or event, please email me at sadechampagnemusic@gmail.com. That's sadechampagnemusic@gmail.com for more details. This is my busiest time of the year. I get booked so many speaking gigs, hosting, performing, mentoring, workshops, dancing, etc., etc. So feel free to email me or private message me on Facebook, preferably email, but people can also reach me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter if you want to book me for anything you have coming up. Check out my Facebook page, Sade Champagne, to see our tour's full schedule and my personal full schedule. Just look under events. Lastly, thank you to everyone who's been watching, sharing, and subscribing to all my new videos. I'm constantly writing new pieces. I'm always recording new content and creating new songs, and I'm going into the recording studio soon. To find out more about my musical journey and how you can be involved, check out GoFundMe.com/Sade Champagne Music. That's GoFundMe.com/Sade Champagne Music. I will be live tweeting and posting on Facebook all show long, and I want to know your thoughts. Tweet me at Sade Champagne, Facebook me at Sade Champagne, Instagram I am Sade Champagne, or hashtag Sade Champagne Show or GHR to join in the conversation. Shout out to everybody who tweets me, Facebooks me, Instagram me, YouTube me, you email me every single week. I am grateful and so thankful for your support. Our first segment of the night is Sharing Your Story. Join published author, speaker, and poet Ayakunle Falama as he inspires you and shares tips on how to tell your own stories. Hashtag sharing your story to ask him your questions and join in the conversation.
Hello. I am really excited tonight. I'm also sad, honestly, because it's the last episode this season of Sharing Your Story, and I just want to say before I start, thank you guys so much. Shadi has, told me that some of you do find this very inspiring. Some of you do find this very helpful. So of course I am very happy about that. I am happy that you are able to use some of the tips and some of the encouragements that I have given over the past few episodes to actually use to better your writing, to better your storytelling, really. And so I want to say thank you to you all. And this is going to be my, again, like I said, this is going to be the last episode this season. But I do want us to kind of go over a little bit some of the things that we've talked about. We've talked about something that I've really hammered over the course of the time I've been here is, finding the purpose for your story. Why are you telling a story? What is important to you to tell? What story is important for you to tell? And how can you actually tell that story is what I have been trying to do. And tonight is going to be a little different because I do want to tell a story of mine, and in that sense, also, remind you guys that in the same way that I have found my purpose for telling a story, which is, again, sharing our story, recognizing our shared humanity, and reminding ourselves of that is something that's quite important to me. And so, I do want you guys to sit down and find out for yourself what is the reason, what is the purpose for me telling, whatever story that I might be telling. And of course, I have also shared the importance of telling stories that are very honest, stories that are very truthful, because it is in that way that you actually do connect with other people, that other people can say, okay, I can see my story in that person's story, and that person can find their story in my story. And that is the beauty of storytelling. Also, storytelling really is not limited to any medium. We tell stories with the way we employ ourselves in the different media that we use. Part of it is writing, and like I have said, mine is poetry, of course. Yours might be dance, yours might be painting, yours might be drawing, but the same challenge, the same responsibility still applies, regardless of whatever your medium is. And so there's a particular story that I've been trying to tell with a new project that I'm working on, and I just want to talk about it a little bit. And so the project, it really is an exploration of the things that I am scared of, and also my family. And the project is titled Kindred, Kindread, and literally is split into two. On one side, I'm talking about my kin, the people that are the closest to me, and on the other end, I'm talking about dread, the things that make me want to crap my pants sometimes. And interestingly, while I was doing both independently, I realized, wow, there's actually a lot in common that they do have. And I started trying to explore that even more. The things that I'm scared of have something to do with the people that are closest to me. So an example that I always kind of think about is, disappointment. It scares me to want to disappoint the people that are closest to me. It really is it really is something that I'm scared of, and it's because these are people that are poured into me. I don't want to be anything other than what I am. I don't want to be anything other than what I have been destined to be, and me not living up to my full potential is actually a disappointment. Number one, for myself, and also for the people who have actually poured a lot into me. But again, realizing the fact that that's a fear that's fear some of the time is unfounded, and so you kind of have to explore that. You have to dig into that and see why that is and what you can do. And right now, I'm working my way through all the fears that I do have, and in some way, I'm able to connect those fears to the people that are the closest to me. The project again is Kindred, and that's Kindread. And you can find more information about it at kindredbook.com. Again, that's kindreadbook.com. And I want you guys to actually join me on this journey, because it is a journey that I'm taking. And if you do remember, my purpose is reminding ourselves of our shared humanity, that we do have stories that are similar. And I want you guys so much to join me in that. With that said, I do want to share something from the project, and it is a poem that, again, reiterates that idea of purpose. And if I have not hammered anything throughout this period, that I've been able to be on the segment, I would like to say it's finding your purpose is very, very essential to telling a story that's relatable. If you know why you're writing, if you know the reason behind you picking up a pen, if you know the reason behind you dancing, it might be as simple as it gives me joy, it gives me pleasure, it makes me look forward to something to live for. If it is that, you putting that at the forefront of your mind actually makes you be a better storyteller. And so for me, I will always want to write stuff that reminds us, again, that we belong to one another. And so this is a poem from the project, and I would like for this to continue. I would not like for this to be the end. Even though we have a period of time before the next season, but even after this season, I do want you guys to be, to be part of what I am creating. So this is called Belong To, or You Too Belong. And it goes like this. Belong is a country. It is a country with a very interesting immigration policy. It's like this. I found out it's a country I don't belong in, and so I stopped trying to get in. Decided to create my own country, so come. All you rejects and weirdos, this is where you belong, here, in this new country with me. I still don't know what to call it, so for now it's belong to, or I or you too belong. It's like this. It's my country, but it could very well be yours too, yes. Yes, ours will be a country that is ours here. will know peace and love and stay and love and peace and joy at the port. We'll leave all our burdens here. We'll be given new robes here. We'll be brave, brave enough to wear our skin inside out, brave enough to let our bones breathe, brave enough to be brave, enough to be as we are, brave enough to be enough, brave enough to be brave enough, enough, brave, brave enough to don the glorious and the broken of our human. Like the latest trend here will know no shame. Our language will be belong, welcome, will be here, will be stay here, will be leave. All your baggages at the port will be, they're not welcome here. No, that sounds terrible, so I say it like this, will be. There is no room for them to stay here. Will be, even if somehow they got in, we'll still welcome you in, baggages and all. We'll never threaten to kick you out or ask you to leave and go back to where you're from, because really, no matter how you got here, this, as always, will always be where you are from, where you belong. And that's what I wanted to share. Again, I'll say it again. For me, a great part of storytelling is recognizing the fact that we belong. There are so many fears, there are so many differences that might want to separate us. And as a storyteller, I have made that my mission to remind us that we are all in the same boat. And so if you feel the same way, I want you to really join me on this new project. It's Kindred. Again, you can find more information about it on kindredbook.com. I want to say a huge thank you again for your support. I really feel it. It's really something that I don't take for granted. Thank you guys for joining every time to hear all the other hosts of the other segments as well. It's been a pleasure this season. I can't wait for what the future brings for all of us. And I want to say a huge and a massive thank you, of course, to Sade. I want to say a huge thank you to Grindhard Radio for giving this opportunity. And till next time, don't let this be the next time. I do want to hear from you all. But for now, take care, and I'll see you soon. I hand back over to you, Sade.
Our celebrity guest is on the line. From garage band to gold album, Viktor Corrali has never been a stranger to the music industry. Born into a family of musicians, it was only a matter of time before his original songs topped the charts in Hungary. Shortly after winning the Hungarian Megastar competition in 2008, his self-titled album landed in the top 40, leading him to his breakthrough year in 2010. With a gold record in hand and the #1 single, Viktor earned 3 nominations for the Sexiest Man of the Year for Cosmopolitan, Glamour, and Joy magazine. He then went on to accept the prestigious Man of the Year award from Playboy Enterprises. After claiming Best Song of the Year was Fire from his platinum album, Third Dimension, he was appointed Best Male Artist by Viva. However, 2015 marked some new beginnings for Viktor. His soulful voice earned him a top 20 spot on NBC's The hit show The Voice, a 3-time Emmy Award-winning show, beating out 50,000 other auditions. Now Viktor has found himself back in the studio, creating fresh new music, best well-to-school mixture of soul, pop, and some alternative grit to share with his fans. If paired with the right producer and music management, Viktor's success in Europe can cross over to the U.S. and he can achieve his dream of being an international household name within music. Hey, Vic, how are you doing tonight?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so glad to finally get you on. We've been trying to get interview together, but we're both so busy. And with you being all the way in Hungary, we worked it out somehow.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm so happy that we got it together. My schedule has been very busy, but I'm very happy that we're talking right now.
Awesome. And, I just recently had my The Voice special episode, and I wanted you on for that, but this is even better because I get to have you on for a little bit longer period of time. So we had Celeste on, we had Ben, and also Moses Stone from season 2. So it's pretty cool, but we're glad
That's
to
awesome.
have it all about you right now.
Oh, great. Awesome.
So for those who are just getting to know you, please let everyone know how you got your start in the entertainment industry.
Oh, well, I mean, so it was kind of along. I mean, I wasn't like one of those early starters. I mean, I was in garage bands like all my childhood. I was born and raised in New York. I was living there until till the end of the freshman year in high school, and then my family decided to move to Hungary, to Budapest, Hungary, in Europe. And basically, I just kept on playing in garage bands, but I wasn't even singing. I was playing the drums for years. And it's kind of like the Phil Collins story that, you know, he's a drummer / singer. And I think it was in the last year of high school. There was like this, like kind of like the prom in America, but it's a little bit different. And we were playing, and I was playing the drums. But one of my band members, they're like, "Oh no, you should sing at least one song because I can hear that you're such a good singer," and blah blah blah. So I'm like, "All right, I'll do one song out of the set." And after that one song, every student and every teacher came up to me and they're like, "Finally, we know what your purpose is in life because you're horrible at math and chemistry and blah blah." So they're like, "Yes, you should be a singer." And ever since then, I started singing, basically.
Wow,
so that was a very good start. Yeah.
That's nuts to me because with how beautiful your voice is, you know what I mean, you would think that you came out of the womb singing.
Oh no, it's crazy because see the story in my family is that my sister, I have a sister that's 1 year older than I am, and she was like this prodigy child. I mean, she was singing classical opera at the age of 13. And she was performing in New York's Carnegie Hall at the age of 14 or whatever. So and she was preparing for Juilliard. She was going to BOCES, and so she was like this prodigy child. And basically, the whole singing attention was towards my sister. So even when we moved to Budapest, my sister, after 1 year of living in Budapest, she became the most well-known pop star in Hungary. So it was really crazy. So basically, I mean, because of this, I never really tried to sing, you know, because there was such an expectation in the family, like, you know, if you're not as good as your sister, then you should not be singing. So, so I think that's why I started later. But I mean, I'm happy that I started later. I got a lot of experience. So as you mentioned in my biography, in 2008, I went to go test myself in Hungarian's basically voice kind of situation. The talent show is called Megastar. And I mean, I was lucky enough to win that show. I became #1, so that was a good experience. Yeah.
Wow. That's phenomenal. So I discovered you, like I'm sure many Americans, from The Voice. And so tell us about your experience on there and what was it like and how has that opportunity expanded your career? And for those of you who didn't know and who've been living under a rock, Vic was a 4-chair turn. He originally was on Adam's team and then later on Gwen's team and was totally robbed from being on the show. But, you know, it was still a really strong season. It was a really strong season, so that's why I'm not going to be that offended. Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, for me, this whole voice experience was a crazy stressful experience because, I mean, people have to understand that in Hungary, I'm well, I don't know how to say this to not sound egotistical.
No,
but in Hungary,
you're very humble. So go ahead and say it.
So in Hungary, I mean, I have a career here, like as a singer, as a musician, a songwriter. I have 4 separate #1 hit songs in Hungary. So I mean, it's like I have a pretty big career here. So the whole voice experience was stressful for me because it wasn't only like everyone else, you know, going to The Voice. It's like, okay, but they're most of them are unknown singers. So, you know, if you don't get a chair turn, then, you know, who cares? You know, at least you tried. But for me, I had a whole country watching me, you know, and expecting the chairs to turn and expecting me to move on forward and forward. And for example, if I wouldn't have had a chair turned, I would have, you know, walked back to my country with shame, you know. So it was crazy stressful, this experience. But I have to say, I needed this experience for me to not only come back to Hungary and also continue trying to make momentum in America. I needed this feedback, this positive feedback from The Voice that, you know, I'm actually able to do it as well. So I mean, it was a crazy experience.
I can imagine. You know, that's how obviously I discovered your voice, and I thought you were absolutely exceptional. You know, like I feel, which is why, like I told you, I'm shocked that this is not something you've been doing for your whole life, because you're very polished, but you're also really down to earth, and your musicality is phenomenal. You really feel it. It's like you're so professional, but yet, like I said, you're very relatable too. And so it was your voice and the way you carry yourself and just your humility through that, because I can only imagine how stressful of an experience it is. You know, I've had many friends who are either on The Voice or people I've interviewed or work with, and it's like I just commend anyone who can go through those types of experiences, you know what I mean? And like you said, on top of that, you had all the pressure from being, you know, in your own country, you know, being from your own country. So I couldn't even imagine. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you. And I mean, I think The Voice so far is like one of those experiences that I'm literally never going to forget, and I really don't want to forget it. So I mean, it was such a milestone. I mean, it was to meet all those artists, and it was so crazy. I still keep in touch with a bunch of the contestants, and we became like literally, you know, I hope we're going to be lifelong friends because we became really close. I mean, it was great. The whole Voice momentum after. I mean, it's very hard to keep a balance between the momentum that I created in America and, you know, keep my career up in Hungary. I'm trying my hardest. So I travel a lot. So I keep on traveling back to the States, back to Hungary. It's a lot of traveling, but I'm trying to keep it up. And it's awesome. Right. I'm very grateful, and it's a really good experience. So I'm very grateful. Actually, an interesting thing is that.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, I said go ahead.
Today is because, so it's an interesting thing today, which happened earlier, is that, you know, you mentioned that I'm quite polished and, you know, technique with my voice. I mean, the way I learned how to sing, which is kind of silly because I never went to a singing teacher. I never went to singing school or music school. I have a favorite artist. You probably know who he is. His name is Eric Benet.
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
Yeah, he's my favorite artist, right? And basically the way I learned how to sing was I would just put his album in and listen to it non-stop. Like, seriously, just listen to every little riff he does. And it was an interesting thing that happened today. I'm on my Instagram, and I posted a video of me singing, and Eric Benet liked it.
Oh, my gosh.
I was like,
that's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah,
see, you know you're a real like soul singer and you a lover of soul music when you mention artists that maybe obviously he's popular, but you have to really love soul music to know who he is. So that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So what are you most thankful for? It can be professionally or personally.
Well, I think I'm most thankful for my very, very close and strong family. They always have my back. I always have their back. We've been through a lot. Both my twin brother and my mother, you know, they had cancer, but they're totally healthy right now. So I mean, all this trauma and drama keeps our family really, really strong. I mean, we're like the typical family that talks every day. Like, seriously, there's not one day that goes by that we're not talking to, you know, each and every one of our siblings and our parents. So yeah, I'm very grateful. And actually, my father, he's my dadager. He's my manager. So that's a close relationship.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
Tell us about it.
I think that's it.
Cool. Well, that's amazing. And tell us about a time when you wanted to quit, and how did you overcome that moment?
I never wanted to quit. Never.
Wow.
I mean, I can't quit because I mean I'm getting better and better at songwriting. so I just every time I write a new song in any style, I mean, because usually here in Hungary, I have to go very, very popular. So I can't really, you know, go all out soul music or something like that because since I am singing in English in a Hungarian-speaking country, I have to compensate by making my songs incredibly popular, you know. But when I'm at home doing, the stuff I love, writing the music I love, and it just finishes, and there's a product at the end of the day, I can never quit doing that. I mean, I'm telling stories.
Definitely. And don't you feel like when it comes to your dreams and aspirations, like especially when you're very committed and passionate about it, that there comes a time when we've gone so far that quitting is no longer an option? It's like the dream. Like I remember I was listening to Tyler Perry yesterday on T.D. Jake's show, and he was saying like his dream began to believe for him because you just are that, you're in that deep.
I totally believe in that. I totally believe in that, and I feel like my life, is music, and I would never want to go back from that. I mean, it's so music that I can't think of anything else I could do, which kind of scary. It's scary because music is it's not a stable life. I mean, it's
right.
One day you have, or 1 month you have a bunch of gigs, next month you don't have a bunch of gigs. So it's not like going in from the 9 to 5. So it's scary, but I don't know. I'd rather be afraid,
That's really good. That's really good. How do you stay confident while working in industries that have been known to tear people down?
I have a very, very, very strong sense of there might be better singers than I am. There might be, I don't know, more famous people than I am. But there's no one like me. And that's my mentality. It might be, again, a little bit egotistical, but I find it to work because I know what I have that other people don't have, and that's what I work on. That's what I lean on. That's what makes me go into every situation saying, okay, 1,000 other people next to me, but there's no one like me. So.
And there may be some singers that are as good as you, but there's nobody better than you. There's ones that are good as you, but not better.
No, everyone has their strong points. It's like, for example, when I had to battle Jordan Smith, the winner of season 10.
Yeah.
It was a secret. They kept it a secret, and I had no idea who I'm going to battle. And while walking up the stairs, I'm like, oh no, it's going to be Jordan Smith. I'm like, I got really scared for a second. But then I started, while he was singing, you could see there was a smile on my face because all I said to myself, I'm like, yeah, he's a great singer. He really is. But everyone has their strong points. I have my strong points. So they're not going to they're not going to decide. Yeah, I mean, I can be just as strong as him in my way. You understand? So I wasn't scared of battling him. It was just like, hey, that's it. I'm going to sing,
And I think the good thing, too, one of the good things with that show, even though that does drive me batty that they do that, but the good thing is it was able to bring out the best in you and in him as opposed to if it was someone who wasn't on the same skill level that you guys were.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, definitely. I was very happy that it was a Jordan because it's like now thinking back that he became the winner of the show, I'm like, you know what? That's a great feeling that I got to battle the winner of the show, So. So
and you came out there and sang, not like sing like S-I-N-G, but sang like S-A-N-G.
Thank you. I tried my hardest.
Definitely. So why are self-image and confidence so important? As you've been sharing a bit of your story with me, I can tell that, you've had to overcome, different insecurities and fears in order to, pursue your dreams. And so share with our listeners why self-image and confidence are so important.
It's incredibly important. And I'll tell you the truth, this newly found self-image and confidence is basically from The Voice. I mean, I've been professionally being a pop star here in Hungary for like around 8 years. So I've been doing it for a long time. But I've always had these major these major fears of, I'm not as good as I should. Probably people don't think I'm such a good singer. I was every year I would go through this, and it was so annoying. And I mean, I would keep on doing it, and I would go on stage, but I had all these fears, and The Voice gave me that confidence that I needed. And now when I get up on stage, I'm totally different. I have this. If you have a bit of self-confidence and self-image, you go up on stage and then you're able to really give yourself to the audience. and just be normal and be yourself. And that's why it's very important for a singer, a musician, to have that self-confidence so the audience can feel it too. Because that's when your music becomes honest and your performance becomes honest. You know, when people have low self-esteem, the audience can feel that, and they don't want to see that. They want to see a confident, musician / singer on stage. Well, that's what I think.
No, you're right. It's true, because people, they draw into that, and it's what's within every person that they want for themselves. They want to see themselves as confident. They want to see themselves as bold and courageous. And so a lot of times they look to people like us that are in the public eye be a reflection of what they either desire for themselves or what they see in themselves.
Right. Definitely.
So, I totally agree with that. So tell us about your new song, Coulda, Shoulda, Woulda, and what else you're working on artistically. I really like that song, by the way, but you've had many great records. But we'll talk about that one.
Oh, thank you.
And also what else you're working on.
That one was it was a very spontaneous track. It was a very summer track. I was out in LA working with a producer called Doma X, a very talented producer. And I was with my guitar, and I was strumming my guitar, and this idea just came up. I usually write songs melody first and then lyrics. And I don't know, it was just a good feel to the song, and the producer guy loved it also. So we're like, okay, let's make this track. And we liked it so much, we shot a video the next week. So, I mean, it's a fun track. I mean, I wouldn't call it my all-time favorite track, but I definitely like to party to it, and it's getting a good reaction on the radios here in Hungary. Hopefully in America they're going to start playing it, but who knows? I mean, I really like that track, but like what I'm working on right now is I think I'm touching into a new style for myself. So as I mentioned before, due to the language barrier in Hungary, I said before that I have to make my music very popular. You know, shoulda, woulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda fits into this very popular genre. And now I'm stretching it. I'm moving into a more, I don't know, deep, soulful style of music, which I'm really, really, really anxious and excited to finally release it. I think in a couple of months I'm going to finish the whole album, and I'm very, very interested on how the people are going to react. Yeah.
Wow, I love that, because as you were talking and been sharing, what your experiences have been like with me, I totally see and feel like your heart is to make music that is really heartfelt, that's really, like you said, soulful. Like, you like Anthony Hamilton, Music Soul Child, those types of artists. Like, I see, and I feel your heart, like, leaning towards that, kind of music as well, where it's, music that's really just like songs you remember forever. Charlie Wilson. There's so many good ones. You know what I mean? Bilal. Right. And so I totally see you doing that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm working on. I mean, I think if I could, I don't know. I think the best style that would like maybe relate to the stuff I'm doing right now, it would have to be like closer to like a John Legend feel. So where it's,
I like him.
It's basically voice and piano, and or it's very raw, very down to earth. It's not overproduced. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy about like a bunch of the songs that I wrote already. I hope I'm going to send it to you very soon, so you can get a listen and you can tell me your opinion about it.
Yes, I'd love to hear it. And so, what words of encouragement and wisdom would you give to up and coming performers, entertainers, and artists?
Don't give up. Never, ever. Whatever anyone says to you, it's you have to know it in your heart that you're capable of doing what you've set out to do, what your plan is, what your goal is. Don't give up. That's the most important.
That's good. And do you have anything else coming up that you'd like to share or promote?
Well, I have stuff here in Hungary. I mean, I'm the table's kind of turned, which is very interesting. That I was just a competitor in The Voice, and now I'm a judge in another talent show here in Hungary, which is super crazy.
Wow!
So I'm doing that, and I got nominated again for Viva television. It's a music television, a European music television for Best Male Performer. So these are things that are happening right now, and I'm finishing up my album. So that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. And then let everyone know where they can follow you and stay updated with your career.
Okay, so everyone can follow me on all social media platforms. Facebook /Karali Viktor. It's the other way around. Instagram /Karali Viktor. Twitter. I just recently signed up to Snapchat, and I still don't understand the Snapchat thingy. So it's kind of difficult for me. I guess I'm getting older or something, but I don't know. I don't know what the point of it is. So
I don't use Snapchat either, but we'll see how much longer they're going to survive because, Instagram has killed off Vine, and then so I think they're about to kill off Snapchat too because they now have Snap Stories. So we'll see how long Snapchat hangs in there.
Yeah. I really don't. I'm fine with just Instagram and Facebook, So
yeah,
that's good for me.
And you have YouTube
and I also have
as
a
well.
YouTube channel. Yes, I have a YouTube
Go
channel.
ahead.
Just my name. I think it's Viktor Karali Official.
Awesome. And then I'm going to have you get ready to introduce your song to us, Coulda, Shoulda, Woulda. And we had such a wonderful time chatting with you. Looking forward to everything else that you have coming up.
Thank you so much. Well then, all right, guys. I hope you enjoy my new single. It's called Coulda, Woulda, Shoulda, and I hope you guys have a good time listening to it. Thank you for having me.
I'm Kevin Miller, and I believe every person deserves to feel great in their body and their life. I'm creating a community of people committed to empowering each other to achieve our dreams. Before I found my purpose, I had lost all hope of ever permanently getting back to a healthy weight. I'd tried every plan. I was stressed and overwhelmed about life and the future. Then I was introduced to a clinically proven, all-natural cleansing and nutrition system by my daughter. It's convenient, satisfying, and affordable. I released over 100 pounds and absolutely know I will reach my goal weight. I'm excited about life again, can play with my grandkids, and do anything I desire without any limitations. If any of this interests you, please call me at 805-218-7146, 805-218-7146. Have a great day.
Young Living essential oils are known throughout the world for their purity, quality, and potency. But that's not the whole story. The oils start with high-quality seeds planted in nutrient-rich soil that grow into strong, potent botanicals. They work with the finest oils and hold to the seed-to-seal standard and ensuring it meets that standard through a series of rigorous tests. Young Living is a universally known household name that is revered and respected for the countless benefits it brings to humanity. Propelled by the world's purest essential oils and oil-infused products, along with the passionate commitment to empowering individuals to whole life wellness. Bring the pureness of Young Living essential oils to your home by contacting independent distributor Teresa Whittington, and to read her story on her website, go to teresaw.myoilsite.com. That's spelled TERESAWMYOILSITE.com. You can also reach her at teresawoilsite@gmail.com. That's spelled TERESAWOILSITE@gmail.com.
Hi, you're tuned in to Grind Hard Radio. This is Ayokunle Falomo from the Sharing Your Story segment on the Sade Champagne Show. Keep listening.
Welcome back to the Sade Champagne Show on Grind Hard Radio. You're listening to episode 34 of Season 2. We only have one more show until our Season 2 finale. Can you believe it? Right now we have What's Going On. The What's Going On segment on the Sade Champagne Show is led by multi-threat artist, host, producer, model, and designer Christina Renee. She's been featured on several radio stations, CNN, billboards, and had her clothing line in fashion malls in Virginia. We also have Nathan Martell back with us, who is the owner of Efficacy Clothing, efficacyclothing.co, and the marketing manager for Bed I Stew, bedstew.com shoes. His specialty is in internet social media marketing, but he has a special interest for current events and politics. His straightforward approach to politics can be divisive, but that is exactly why he's becoming well known for the hashtag Nathan Martell is stupid.
subscribe every time I say that. Subscribe to his weekly podcast at nathanmartellastupid.com. We'll be taking calls from our listeners so you can weigh in with your opinions. We will also be sharing your thoughts from Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram hashtags what's going on to ask us questions and join in the conversation. How are you doing tonight, Christina and Nathan?
Good. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. I'm on the East Coast, though, so it's late here.
Oh, yes.
I know
that's
3
crazy.
hours behind us. Well,
Yeah,
before us. Oh, my God. You're in the
yeah,
future over there.
I know, it's crazy, but I'm also old, so it's almost time to go to bed.
Yeah. It's so silly. So what's our first topic you want to get into, Christina?
Okay, so for half the segment, I decided since it's travel season, isn't it funny that Nate traveled over there, I sort of would like to talk about some feel-good and flight topics that currently happen this week. And the first feel-good moment, I'd like to talk about a father who was flying to Florida with his 3-year-old. Well, a father that was on flight with his 3-year-old daughter, Molly, on Halloween was on bound to Florida to visit grandparents and family. But his daughter was really heartbroken and sad because she'd missed trick-or-treating, being that this was on Halloween. So as this dad was called Father of the Year, he actually printed out little memos and put it on side of a piece of candy that read, "My 3-year-old daughter, Miley, was bummed that she wouldn't be able to go trick-or-treating this year due to this flight. So I decided to bring trick-or-treating to her. If you are willing, when my little donut comes down the aisle, please drop this in her basket. You'll be making her Halloween. If you're unwilling, no worries. Just pass the treat back to me. Thanks so much." Which was so darling. The passengers were so heartfelt by the act, they decided to participate, which left the dad and little Miss Molly ecstatic. And one passenger actually tweeted on Twitter that her heart was exploding from Dad of the Year, who was passing out candy to people that could pass to his little girl when she went trick-or-treating down the aisles. And she got retweeted like 45,000 times. So everyone that was sort of traveling during this time was like awed on Halloween by this kind gesture of this little girl's dad. So I had to share this with you guys.
That is so
that's
cute.
Super cute. You know what?
It is.
I was the jerk. There, people came up to the door and I didn't have candy, so I just turned off the light and didn't answer the door.
Nate, you could have gave out hugs. You could have gave out free hugs. You'd be like, "I don't have candy, but you can come get this love right here." But I know that's not you at all.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like anything I would do.
Are you kidding? Nathan is a big softie. He just pretends to be all tough. He's a big softie.
No, let's not go there. I don't want people getting the wrong impression of me.
Most grizzly bears are softies on the inside.
Wendy Williams said Wendy Williams said she puts up a sign that says "No candy," so that way nobody even comes.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, talking about Halloween, when I took my son trick-or-treating, I saw actually adults, like older adults, senior citizens going trick-or-treating, and I guess they wanted to feel youthful again. So I say, if you feel led that you need to go trick-or-treating at any age, go for it. But
that's awesome. I think we should actually make that a regular thing. Kids under like 12 and senior citizens over 70. Oh, that would be, I think that's a great idea. I am down to do it again. It's something to look forward to when you get old, because once you get old, everything sucks.
It really does. It really does. But you know what?
That's
I will have
to
say,
I'm like, I can't wait to retire
living
so
here.
I can start.
You're retiring, Nate? You said
no. I
said
said that's
retiring one day.
No. Like I'm saying, like maybe one day you're like, oh, I'm retiring, but guess what? I get to trick or treat again. At least you have something to look forward to.
You know what? I like
that.
So funny.
So I think we should make that a regular thing. I think that should be a regular thing.
We should.
As long as you guys don't decide to be any crazy clowns, because you will. It will be over for you. Over.
Well,
I concur.
I dressed as Elsa. Does that count?
No.
Yeah, because you probably did. I saw your picture, Nate, on Facebook.
Oh, I totally
and
did.
And you actually looked like you pulled it off.
Of course I rocked it.
You go, boy.
I killed it.
Snap.
Yeah, I was looking so good.
I think he looks better than man.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Sade.
Oh my gosh, you guys crack me up.
What's your next story?
As you guys are talking about this, yes, I have one more feel-good moment. I can't get the picture out of Elsa and Nate out of my head now. Okay, so this other story was also another, a travel story. These people were in flight, and this is why announcements are important, people. Take a listen. So a pilot and the passengers were on flight from Melbourne, Australia, back here to Los Angeles when the pilot came on the loudspeaker. Qantas Airlines pilot Dooley Ellis had announced that he had a very special passenger on board, his girlfriend Anna, who was heading to Colombia to see family. Well, Ellis said he wanted everyone not only on board the aircraft but spanning the world to know how he felt about Anna. And by the way, this has been a pilot for Qantas for 30-plus years. So, even though he's making these interesting announcements on board, it's okay, people, he has the flight under control. But basically, he came on the PA systems and told everyone he had a special person on board today named Anna, and she's traveling back to South America to visit her family, and he wants to make sure that she comes back to him in Australia. So he added, so now that I have got everyone's complete attention and Anna's attention, will you marry me? He basically proposed to her over the loudspeaker mid-flight. Then he came out of the cockpit and presented her with flowers and her ring, and of course she said yes, and all the passengers were like in awe, and everyone was kind of like having those butterflies for the rest of the flight. So I just thought that was another feel-good moment of the week that happened this week during mid-flight.
Part of
that
me
didn't
thinks
happen.
that's really cute, and the other part of me thinks I don't want that going on my plane. I just want to get to where I need to go, and I don't need no extra stuff. That's happening.
But like I said, he's been a pilot for 30 years. It's all right. He's got that under control.
I guess.
Yeah. So funny, Sade.
Those are never the delays that happen when I travel. Oh man, if I was a pilot, that would just be we would never want that in the slightest. That would just be a bad idea.
What if you were the pilot's assistant? What would you have done, Nate, if that happened on your flight?
Oh my gosh,
if you were the pilot's assistant.
I hate all forms of delayed planes. I don't care what the reasoning is. I travel so much, and every other flight is delayed. Cute it is. I don't want any more delays on plane rides. That's a selfish thing to say, but oh my gosh, when you travel on a regular basis, oh my gosh, I just want the plane to get off the ground and go. I'm a hater. I get it.
That's true. That is true. That no one wants to be in planes longer than proposed. So. I didn't read if it was mid-flight or beginning on the flight. I just know that it happened on the plane. But I'm just glad that everyone landed safely if it was mid-flight. I don't like flights. I don't like flying.
If it was mid-flight, I'm sure it was fine, and then it's super cute. But I would have probably had my headphones in anyway, so I wouldn't have heard it if I was there anyway.
So I think we need to change Nate's introduction instead of saying that he's very straightforward to direct.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love that about you.
You want to introduce him you want to let him know or let us know what the second topic is that you guys came up with.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to let Nate take over a little bit for this part of the segment, and I'm going to jump right back in. So Nate, let's hear what you'd like to talk about for the second half.
So we're going to change gears just a little bit, and we're going to talk about kind of what's more kind of a big, slight little change of the happy feeling for a second. We're going to talk about what's going on in the world right now, and I actually wanted to address, because I know everybody all over Facebook and on the interwebs are all talking about this North Dakota pipeline thing going on. Are you guys familiar with it?
Yes.
Yes, a little bit. I want you to give us more details.
Well, so anyways, you see, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it's people are checking in on Facebook at the location, saying they stand in solidarity with the Sioux tribe. Have you seen any people doing that online or anything like that? So
I haven't seen any of my friends particularly doing it, but I have read the articles.
So anyways, total, I'm looking at statistics. 1.6 million people checked in to show solidarity with the tribe. to protest the North Dakota Access Pipeline. So that was pretty fascinating. This is a new form of what we call social justice going on, where people use the internet to help fight political things and stuff like that. I personally think it's super stupid. That's my feeling on the topic. So if you're a social justice warrior, you're probably not going to like anything I say, but that's okay because I don't like what you are anyways. So basically, what these people. So basically, here's the thing: so you have all these people like standing up. We're with the tribe to protest this. Well, the problem with that is most people don't have any idea what's actually going on. They don't actually know what it's about. All they do is they've heard that it's a bunch of evil people trying to destroy the earth and kill these people's water supply. That's what you're getting through what I call the meme generation, which is all these memes people posting online. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to break down, and I'm not going to tell you how to feel on a certain topic. You can agree with me, not agree. All I'm going to do is kind of just tell you what's kind of going on. And you can see what the benefits, pros, cons. Feel free to jump in. So basically, what's going on right now is they're building a pipeline that runs from like Sioux Falls, and it runs through all the way to this other area called Stanley, which is in the dead spot center of it is the Standing Rock Reservation for the Indians, like smack dab in the middle of it. Now, it gets a little complicated because you say, oh, well, they can't just be putting a pipe on reservation territory. Well, the problem is it's not. The pipeline is going to run on a side of it that is not their property, that is owned by an oil company. So so here's the first fault. The first fault is this: it's not on their land in the first place. So that's the first one. Second one is this: it is underneath the big one. This is the one they're actually really protesting. It's actually running underneath the Missouri River, which is adjacent to their property. And this is where they would have a good argument because that's their water supply. So does that make sense? The pipe goes under the river, which is not on their property, but is their water supply. So that's really where the argument lies. Because they're saying a pipe could burst and then their water supply would be tampered, which to be honest is a valid point, I would say. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's the big controversy right now. There's a couple different ways you can look at it. So, I mean, you're just kind of researching this. Is that what you're telling me? Have you been paying close attention to what people are doing, or have you kind of learning on the spot?
I have been paying attention a little bit to this. I did see that Barack Obama was trying to somewhat see if the Army Corps could, sort of reroute the pipeline so it wouldn't tamper with the water supply, but I haven't read anything as far as feedback of if they have found a solution to rerouting the pipeline or anything of that nature.
Yeah, he did. He put that in there, and to be honest, it was all just political conjecture, basically. It doesn't mean anything because he, first of all, he can't do anything a month before a presidential election. That's just you're 2 weeks away from the presidential election. He can't do anything because he's not allowed to be responsible for damaging his upcoming candidate's election. And there's a lot of ways for him to actually do major harm to his co-partner Hillary Clinton if he interjects on this. So he made a cute little statement, but the reality is he's not doing anything, only trying to cover his butt. That's the reality.
Right.
He's not going to do it. First of all, he ain't doing anything. He's done.
Well, that's not the first situation like that. I said that's not the first situation, like that, where they will try to act like they're speaking up to do something, but you're like, you just are doing this so that way it makes it look like you at least care.
Oh, that's politics in general. It's all full of crap. So,
and I did also see that the ruling was favored towards the pipeline being,
Well, yeah, the problem
constructed.
is they don't really have, to be honest, so I looked up some other statistics. here's your main problems. It said there was so I'm just reading off statistics. I'm not making stuff up or anything, just so people know. I'm actually just reading statistics from things that happened. And total what has been recorded is that there was a total of like 400 different surveyors over this program, like surveying meetings over the construction of this. And on 7 different occasions, the tribe was requested to come in to speak on their thoughts of the project. 7 times nobody showed up from the tribe.
Oh, wow.
So it says on 7 different invitations, nobody showed up. And it said there was nearly 400 meetings on cultural surveying and 11 meetings between the Army Corps and the tribe, but on 7 different occasions they didn't show up to anything. So they had plenty of time to address this. And the heart of it is the Army Corps was actually really, really nice. They didn't have to invite them over in the first place because it's not their land. So they were actually being gracious to allow them to come to these meetings, which I think is the right thing to do. They should have asked them to do. And they did, but it sounds like the tribe, first of all, didn't do their due diligence. So what they're doing is, and when you're trying to, and now they're trying to protest something in the major part of a construction that has, to be honest, a lot of not only like monetary ties, but also a lot of political ties in here. So like Obama says some conjecture about it, but there's not much he can do because his hands are really tied on this scenario. There's not much. Right. There's not much that's going to stop it at this point. So my feeling is on this whole thing is that it's a nice. I think it's nice that people are coming to kind of stand up for what they consider the little guy. But if I was a betting man, I'd put almost all my money on this whole thing being completed as soon as it's no longer top priority on Facebook anymore.
Yeah, and that's one of the unfortunate things with our society nowadays is, something is always the hot thing to do. Like, I guess part of me is happy in the sense like you want to hear important matters being talked about, even if people don't have the best intentions at heart and they're only doing it for the fame, so that everyone can think, oh my gosh, look, they're so charitable. So part of me is like, okay, at least the word's getting out. But then the other part is like, okay, what about being really, really caring about what the cause is for and really dedicating yourself to that? You know what I mean? As opposed to just turning it into a meme or a picture that I post or something so that everyone can see that I care so much.
Yeah, this is one of my main problems with this whole generation. And you know what? It's not like I'm blaming everybody else. I'm also responsible. We're all responsible. We have a 2-second attention span, and we think problems can be fixed by us pushing the share button on Facebook. That's not how the world works. Because your little share on Facebook didn't have anything to do with legislation being created or all the work that went into put all this stuff in motion. It really doesn't make a difference. So we give ourselves way too much dang credit to think that our voice is important enough to make change. But that's not how the world works. The world works because you have moving parts, people that put in real work to get stuff done. So and that's my problem with today's social justice warrior. They think everything can be solved behind a keyboard, but it's not, because the real people that actually are doing things are out there getting petitions signed, because a petition online don't count for anything. It has to be there's specific things that have to be done to get things done, and I feel like our generation has gotten really lazy.
But that's because we want to do things that are comfortable. You know what I mean? We want it to be comfortable, and we don't want to have to put too much effort for it, but we want to show that we care, but not where I was inconvenienced to care. And you're just like, I'm like, it drives me nuts, because I'm like, I've never met in my life so many apathetic students, and people that I mentor, and it like drives me up the wall where you're just like, you know what, I love you and I want the best for you, but if you don't desire this for yourself, I'm not going to allow you to drain me and just suck all my energy. Yeah.
100%. And I think that's like with this specific situation, I really believe that people online sharing that thing or checking in really think they're actually making a difference. And that kind of scares me, to be honest, because it's really not making any difference, because that's not how our system works, and that's, to be honest, that's not how the system should work at all. Not in the slightest.
Yeah.
That would be a very terrible system to live in if it could work by things being changed by Facebook shares.
Yeah,
we'd have a serious issue on our hands.
Definitely. Well, I can't wait to chat with you guys more about all of this, and I'm bringing Nate back onto the show soon. We're going to have him on for a whole nother special this upcoming season, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of juicy stuff and make sure that Christina Renee is available that night so she can be there too, because I need them both on the same panel. You guys can share really quick, because I want to get into my next celebrity guest is on the line, and you guys are celebrity guests too, but I don't want to keep them waiting for our next part of the show. So share with everyone really quick how they can follow you on social media as we wrap up what's going on.
I'll let you go ahead, Nate.
Okay, well, I'm easy. Go to Nathan Martell, 2 L's, Martell, isstupid.com, because that's what I am, and everything I pretty much say is stupid, so just follow along.
No, it's not. No, it's
Nate
not.
I love him. He is so funny. You guys can follow me on Facebook.com/I love Christina Renee, or you can follow me on Instagram at Instagram.com/I'm the letter I and then the letter M, Christina Renee. Yes, that's it. I'm Christina Renee on IG, and Facebook is I love Christina Renee.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you,
Sade, for having us. Thank you, Nate, for joining me.
Of course. That was a lot of fun.
Yes, as always.
Our next special guest is on the line. I wanted to feature him for my Who Wrote That segment, where I highlight my favorite authors and books I am currently reading. Ramsey Jay Jr. is a Wall Street-trained finance professional with more than a decade of global investment management experience with an acute focus on alternative assets. Mr. Jay is also a widely recognized expert on leadership development, communication, consultant, and international motivational speaker. Driven by his mission to empower dreamers to become achievers, which is the title of his recently released first book that I am loving so much. His 3 P's methodology, possible, probable, and predictable, has provided the pragmatic framework enabling his followers to achieve academic, professional, and civic-centered success. His message and enriching inspiration has touched many in the community, both students and professionals, and continues to energize them to live their best lives without fear and limitation. Named by EBONY Magazine as one of the top 30 young leaders under 30 in February 2016, he was invited to make opening remarks at the White House, where President Obama and First Lady hosted an event honoring Ray Charles. In April 2015, Mr. Jay was the recipient of UCLA's Riordan program inaugural Excellence in Civil Engagement and Leadership Award, recognizing his commitment to serve the community. He is also the director of the National Association of Securities Professionals, NASP, SoCal Finance and Scholastic Training Fast Track program at Crenshaw High School. Mr. Jay also served as the secretary of the board of director of the Ray Charles Foundation and as the board of director of the South Central Scholars Foundation. His resume is so long, guys, that I had to cut it down. He's a personal friend of mine. Please welcome Ramsey Jay Jr. Hi, Ramsey. How are you doing tonight?
Hello. I'm doing excellent. Honored to be on your platform and share a word with your audience and your wonderful followers.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that we could catch up with each other. We both are so busy, but we made it happen, and we're finally here.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. And I'm ecstatic to feature you on the Sade Champagne Show for episode 34 of Season 2. We only have one more episode until our Season 2 finale, so I had to get you in.
I appreciate it. I know how that can be, but I'm here, and I'm ready to go.
So when did you first become a dreamer, and what is your favorite thing about being a dreamer?
I guess, really for me, like most of us, when you're a child, it's amazing how wild your imagination can be, whether you're make-believing, having playmates, or make-believe your favorite cartoon character or superhero. When you're a kid, I think that imaginative mindset of what a dreamer is all about is born in you, and I was no different. I had a wonderful childhood, but I think I always had a very, very progressive, I guess I would say, imagination about things I could be and places I would go. So I think the idea of being a dreamer for me started when I was very young. And as I've matured in life, I don't think I ever fully relinquished that kind of no-holds-barred vision of what a young kid thinks they can become. As I became more mature, I started to think that those ideas were not just fantasies, but there were things that I could do if I worked hard and met the right people and stayed obedient to the things I knew I could do, that those dreams could become a reality. And here I am now, obviously many years removed from being a child. Things that I thought may happen have started to happen, and now I start to really question whether or not we should limit what we can do. And the first step in that is not being afraid to dream like you did as a kid, no matter how old or mature you may be. Still continue to dream like that kid growing up, and I think it's amazing what you still can achieve no matter where you may be at this journey in life.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. Have you always wanted to be a writer as well?
I don't know that I had a calculated or meditated process to get there, but I think I always did appreciate the power of the written word. I remember even to this day, back in high school, I remember I was 15, 16 years old, and I'm writing an op-ed, an opinion ed piece in the opinion section of the Ventura County Star paper, and I'm quoting Henry Thoreau and the passive resistance movement of the 16th, 17th century. And I'm not saying that to brag on myself, but I think that's an indicator that even as an adolescent, I had an affinity for people who had the ability to communicate their ideas and thoughts in writing. And you can take that from Henry Thoreau in the 16th, 17th century, and then obviously in civil rights era with Martin Luther King and some of the powerful pens of pieces that he wrote that still to this day are looked at, to Maya Angelou. We could go on, but I've always had an affinity for people who could communicate powerful thoughts in writing that could spontaneously create a ripple effect of action in others. And so for that purpose, I think I've always been fascinated with the written word. And now that I've had an opportunity to put my pen to paper, I now have even a deeper appreciation for it.
That's good. Tell us about your first published book, Empowering Dreamers to Become Achievers, and where people can buy it.
Yes. So the book is titled, as you just mentioned, it is purposely titled, as you mentioned, Empowering Dreamers to Become Achievers, and every word is selected for a specific purpose. My goal when I started the project was to put in people's hands a guide, a template, a methodology that could systematically help them do exactly what the title says. So empowering, meaning that you will have the power yourself. And hopefully, as you go through the book, you'll be able to take that dream and now achieve something with it. The subtext of the title is Living Your Life Without Fear and Limitations. I think that as we mature in life, whether we're an adolescent or a mature individual or someone who thinks it's too late to dream, I think the two things that tend to hinder us are fear and, I argue, arbitrary limitations, i.e. limitations that we place on ourselves, not that anyone else places on us first. I think we're usually the first hurdle to overcome is ourselves. So I took 10 years after graduating from business school at the Tufts School at Dartmouth, and I spent 10 years really trying to ask that question of what makes achievers achieve. And I studied people, I read books, and as many diverse individuals who achieved success, and I define success broadly. It wasn't necessarily academic. It wasn't necessarily financial. It wasn't necessarily career. It wasn't necessarily family. It was all of the above. So people who had achieved success in all of these different verticals, was there a consistency that I could extract and ultimately teach to other people? And I think we've done a decent job in this book of saying the answer to that is yes. And this book provides you a methodology, a framework to actually do that. The book will be available widely in the first part of 2017. However, right now, you can go to my website, which is ramseyjjr.com, and you can be on my pre-release notification list, which means you'll be able to get the book before the end of the year if you sign up for the pre-release notification. And then we'll be on all of the online platforms and online e-retailers in the first part of the year, so everybody can get it broadly at that point in time as well.
Awesome. I've really been enjoying this book, and knowing you personally and getting to know you better, I feel your heart through the book. I really feel who you are, you within every word, and I feel that your belief system, your characteristics, the way that you dream are coming true on the pages. And I find myself, because, as our audience is listening in, this is one of the books that I'm reading now. I'm about 3/4, or I would say more like 2/3 of the way through. I'll be done with it in a few days. And I've really been enjoying this book, and there's definitely been some aha moments in there for me as I'm reading through. One of them I was trying to find again, and I was like, this is why I usually will take a couple of notes when I'm reading. I don't take as many notes. I don't take as many notes as I used to, because I really like to just soak it in, and sometimes I read things over, in a certain part. But there was one part where you talk about how when you have begun to, you become to be so focused and so passionate in your dream and your aspiration that even when your old self and old fears will try to pull you back, that you are now in a new place, and that because you've been building up, building yourself from the inside, you're no longer being able to be dragged down back to that place, even though it may try to, when you have, negative circumstances or things. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And it's just, I really enjoy that, and so also when you talk about too, like when someone tries to discourage us in our dreams, or tell us that you can't do something, and you ask me, say, well, who told you that? Who told you that?
That's right.
At least people kind of shocked, because they're not expecting that kind of answer. They're used to, they want you to either argue with them and try to prove yourself, or they expect you to cower.
That's exactly right, and that is in the book. And I use acronyms when I can to make it practical, so you can remember these little phrases or little anecdotes. And so the one that you're quoting, the Who Told You That, as the acronym will identify, it is WTYT. So I talk about WTYT, which stands for Who Told You That. And it's amazing how many times you'll go through life's journey pursuing something you're passionate about. And inevitably, I believe this, I say in the book, if you are not hearing no, you are aiming too low. And that's not to say that you should expect to hear no's, but you have to be willing to embrace that no comes with the territory when you have major aspirations, or, as I talk about, real dreams will encounter real opposition. So get used to hearing no, because that to me is an indicator that you're aiming higher than most people would be comfortable with you aiming, but that does not mean that you should aim lower. Now, if we believe that is the case, which I do, then the flip side is we need to try to equip you with the ability to withstand the negative, the naysayers, the doubters, the detractors, as I call it in the book, and that is what the WTYT is. So when someone says, Sade, there is no way that a girl like you can have her own talk show and get these celebrity guests to come on and talk about empowerment and dreamers, Sade is equipped to say, who told you that? And it is amazing when you take the power back from the person who's trying to take it from you and question them that. I have found that they have usually no response, number one, and number two, they think hard and fast about coming at you with that negativity again, which clearly makes you have more space for people to speak positive, encouraging, progressive thoughts in you, which is what you need when you're continuing to pursue your goals, your passion, your hopes, and dreams. So we're talking about having major aspirations, but also being equipped to withstand the people who are going to try to take those aspirations from you. And a simple phrase like who told you that takes the power from them, put it back in your hand, and lets you continue forward to chase the dream that you believe in.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I totally agree. And I also enjoy how you talk about that at times it may feel, or even more so at first within your dreams and aspirations, that it feels lonely because you may feel like you're the only one doing certain things. There's many times in my life I felt like a unicorn and an alien, quite odd, because I don't think like most people that are my age. I don't think and believe or live a life that's most people who look like me, and so I've learned over the years that just to embrace who I am, embrace who God created me to be, and I have found that the longer I live and the more as I'm continuing to be myself, there are other people who jump on board. And you have, like you said, people who will support you, who have similar values, dreams, belief systems, and that will empower you to be who you are. And then you don't have to feel like you're so awkward,
Yes,
so
no,
that's
you're speaking,
you talk about
you're speaking the truth. You're speaking the absolute
and I
truth.
really enjoy that. Go ahead.
No, you're speaking the absolute truth on that point, and I think if you really kind of synthesize the body of the book, I talk about, the 3 Ps is my process and methodology, and The P that you're speaking to right now is the third P, which is predictable, preparing for the predictable opportunity, preparing for the predictable opportunity. And the key here is before it actually finds you. So that translates into a faith activation principle, which means you have to prepare for the predictable opportunity, for the breakthrough that you are believing in, that you're praying for, that you believe you were called to move towards. You have to prepare for that predictable opportunity before it finds you. And I believe if you are doing what you believe you were called to do, it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but inevitably life will put you at a crossroads of opportunity to go to the next level. The key is to be prepared before that intersection or that inflection point comes, so that when it does come, you can execute on it. You can't get prepared when you hit that inflection point. It'll be too late. So you have to faithfully do the right things in advance and anticipation. And when that moment comes, not only are you ready to execute, you execute and you thrive. And I think what you've just mentioned is that. And that road is not always populated with a lot of people, but not everybody's ready to activate true faith, and that obviously is faith without works is dead. You've got to do the work. And doing the work when you can't necessarily see the promotion or see the next level isn't always easy, and it's a lonely territory. But to your point, Sade, when you do that and then someone else who's doing the same thing intersects with you, that synergy and that fusion is something very, very powerful and truly transformative.
And one of the things, I always share with people through mentoring and through the different workshops I lead in speaking, when it comes to being a dreamer, yes, it's very risky. It's very risky being a visionary. It's always risky doing a new thing, even if it's just new for ourselves. But I feel that there's nothing riskier than and nothing, nothing more uncertain than living in regret. Because anyway, I always share with people, you get to the end of your life here as we know it, and you have still done all that you can. You've allowed yourself to be who you truly are, to live without the fear, without the limits. We're still going to be much happier, much more joyful, much further along than had we lived our lives paralyzed in fear.
Couldn't agree more, and it's almost like you're taking my notes from me, which is a beautiful thing, because I think the thing that I talk about early in the book is the big four, I call them the big four motivating emotions. And if you don't have those, then you're going to have a tough time catalyzing action, catalyzing movement. And so you have to have the emotional feeling in your heart to stimulate real action. And if you do that, it's amazing what it can do. And if you don't, it's amazing how quickly you'll fall victim to anything that'll take you off path. And one of the big four motivating emotions that I talk about is fear. And I want to talk about fear because the way that I talk about fear is some people say fear paralyzes, but I believe that self-invoked fear in the right circumstances actually stimulates action. And that's the fear of understanding what the reality will be if you do not take action. So if you do not take action, you will end up living with the reality of a true sense of regret because you never will know what could have been. And that real answer can cause people to take real action. But you have to allow yourself to feel the reality of, what if I never try? What if I never attempt? What if I never put my name out there? What if I never apply for the position? What if I never try to start a radio show like you have? What if I don't try to pursue my music and my passion despite the obstacles? How will I feel 5, 10, 15 years from now knowing that I never knew what could have been? That's a very real fear for people that usually ask, why not try and know? Why not try and know?
I love that. So tell us about a time when you were tempted to quit, and how did you overcome that moment? It can be personally or professionally, whatever you like to share.
Great question. I love to share the story that, as you mentioned in my introduction, I had an opportunity to work in the finance industry for almost 15 years now, Wall Street trained, and some really, really exceptional opportunities. But I want to remember how I started because I think it's important. I just was at my undergraduate alma mater, Fresno State, and talking to students there in the Craig School of Business. And a lot of them ask that same question. How did you go from Fresno State to Wall Street? I love to say it was methodical and really scientific. It really wasn't. I ended up asking firms that recruited, where do they recruit? And they said they only recruited at 4 schools in the state of California, USC, UCLA, Stanford, and Berkeley. I went to Fresno State. Clearly that's an outlier. So rather than say I can't get a job there, I said, well, where are you going to be? And they told me when they would be at the schools up north. And long story short, I ended up going to a recruiting fair for financial firms at Stanford. And I met the recruiter there in the parking lot. And she says, are you a student here? And I said, yes, ma'am. I am a student, and I am here. And I tell that story often, and people laugh and they find humor in that because I answered the question that way. But that's the truism of life. Notice that she never asked me anything other than, was I a student there? And the true answer is I was a student at Fresno State who was at the recruiting fair at Stanford. That's a true statement and a true answer. And long story short, she said, I guess we can go ahead and interview you. And I said, absolutely. I drove 3 hours. I helped you set up your booth. I'm clearly committed. I have good grades, and you can go ahead and hire me without an interview. I won't tell anybody. And he said, well, we can't do that, but we'll put you through the interview. And I set this up every time when I talk to people because they hear about me working on Wall Street, and they just assume that I drove to Stanford, got the interview, and got the job. So I said at the end of the interview, the woman had 2 choices. She could say you're hired or you're not hired. And inevitably, everyone always says that I got hired. And I say, I did not get hired. The Hollywood make-believe story that you work hard and your dream comes true right away. But that's not real. That's not reality. Rejection is part of the territory. So to answer your question, Sade, I went through that exercise 54 times. I was rejected when I applied for these jobs at various Wall Street investment banks, commercial banks, analyst training programs, and I saved them. This is so true. I saved them in a shoebox. Every letter that said, Ramsey, thank you so much for your application. Unfortunately, fill in the rest. I saved every one of those in a shoebox to motivate me to keep going. And I finally, 55th interview, I heard a yes. And to answer your question, what motivated me to keep going, I talk about having a quintessential motivator, someone who is the ideal model or template to keep you motivated. And for me, I talk about my grandmother, who passed away in 2013, but grew up in the Jim Crow era in the deep south rural parts of Georgia. And as everyone appreciates, in that time and era, the color of your skin determined whether or not you could have a real free life and, more importantly, access to an education. So, Sade, in my mind, as I went through rejections and I went through, let's say, being told no and how difficult that was, I thought about my grandmother and thought about how much more difficult was her journey. And most importantly, as a result of her sacrifices, I sit here 3 generations later with an opportunity to be educated and learn. And let me keep this in perspective, because if my grandmother would have said, oh, it's too tough, forget this, then she doesn't have the family that gives birth to me and my mother, who doesn't give me the opportunity to pursue an education. And if I say now that I'm kind of at the pinnacle point of being able to take my family's lineage to the next level, and I quit because it's too hard for me, how is that honoring the people who paved the way, i.e. my mother, i.e. my father, i.e. my grandmother back in the civil rights era? How am I honoring the legacy of my family if I quit because my road, for me, gets a little bit bumpy, when for my grandmother, that was real challenge and real obstacle, real oppression. What I'm facing in the rejection of getting a Wall Street job, prospectively, not the same kind of oppression as what my grandmother faced. So I kept that spirit alive, and that's what kept me motivated to get up after being knocked down. And I think we all have somebody, if we're honest, in our life that is a quintessential motivator that paid a significant price for us to pursue our goals and dreams. And the best way we honor them is to not give up when the going gets tough.
I'm just enjoying chatting with you, Ramsey, and I'm loving all the nuggets of wisdom that you're sharing with not only me but with our listeners around the world.
It's an honor. I applaud you for what you're doing. I applaud you for creating this vision and this platform and being selfless and sharing it with other people. I tell you, the world is a better place when people have the heart and spirit that you have, that are very much about empowering other people. And by definition, empowerment means service to others before self, and that's the definition of leadership. It's about going where you need to go without being asked and delivering yourself in service to improve the lives of other people. And I think you, by definition, are executing that. I'm just honored to be a small part of it.
Wow, thank you so much. How do you stay confident while working in industries that have been known to tear people down?
Well, I think you got to believe in something bigger than yourself, which I'm not afraid to say I do, and I know you do as well. And I think that grounding in faith, having grown up with a mother and father that helped me understand the power of faith, believing in God and believing in the power of prayer, and believing that at the end of the day, your steps are divinely ordered and orchestrated. And that doesn't mean that every day is easy to walk, but it does mean that if you believe that you're walking in a destiny that's been shaped by something bigger than you and already preordained, I think there's some comfort in that fact. It doesn't mean that there aren't difficult days, but I think it means in those difficult days, you have the ability to rest in the truth of the fact that it wouldn't have been your day to walk that walk if somebody didn't believe that you had what was necessary to walk it successfully. And I embrace that. And I think in the spirit of challenge and the spirit of difficulty, that's when you find out if you're really true to what you called for or if you're not. And I think faith, being activated in the spirit of challenge, is the ultimate grooming ground for promotion to the next level. So I embrace those difficult opportunities. I embrace some of the difficult environments I've been in. I'm still standing, as you are as well. And everybody who's listening, guess what? If you're listening, that means you still are standing. And whatever you kind of had to take on has not broken you. That means that you are destined to continue on to the next level.
And what else do you have coming up that you'd like to share with us or promote?
Well, I'm thrilled about going back to my other alma mater. So I just came back from serving as the first inaugural executive in residence at Fresno State and the Craig School of Business, where I had a wonderful opportunity to teach a couple of financial courses and visit with the business writing courses and accounting courses. And then I did a large keynote lecture for the broader student body as well as 500 African-American high school students. So that was wonderful. And this coming week, I'm actually on my way to my other alma mater, the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth College, to lecture and do a workshop seminar for current MBA students, alumni MBAs, and prospective MBA students at their annual diversity conference. So I'm heading back to beautiful Hanover, New Hampshire, in the Ivy League School of Dartmouth that I call my other alma mater, to talk to the students and alumni and faculty there. And thrilled to be able to say they've sponsored books for all of the participants there, so I'll get to sign my book, early release for all of the folks that will be there this coming week, and I couldn't be more thrilled about that coming up. So that's hot on the burner this week on the heels of visiting my other alma mater last week. So I love coming back to places that I've come from, and I'm thrilled about the opportunities going forward. And the last one, which I can mention now because it's starting to happen, is I'm thrilled about the partnership that we are developing with the Los Angeles Police Department, the LAPD, and having an opportunity to work with their cadets. So these are young people ages 13 to 20 that are in the LAPD Leadership and Enrichment Program. This is not a program that is preparing them to be police officers, although if they want to, they can do that. It's more about preparing them to be successful leaders in life. So it teaches them business skills, leadership skills, scholarship, college, all of the things you want to learn. And I'm thrilled that I'm going to be able to be a partner with them and share some of my teaching and methodology with our young people that are part of their cadet program. So that's the other thing that's kind of an ongoing project that I'm really excited about pushing forward the rest of this year into 2017.
Wow. That's so amazing. I'm super proud of you and excited and, love hearing about your journey to your dreams and as you're pursuing them and living them all at the same time. And can you share with our listeners how they can stay up to date with you and your happenings?
Sure. Easiest way is my website, which is RamseyJayJr.com. So that's RamseyJayJr, all one word, RamseyJayJr.com. My website has all of my upcoming events and past events. So if you miss something, you can get a recap there. If you want to see what's coming up, there's a calendar section there. It also has links to all of my social media outlets. So I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. All of them are just at Ramsey J. Jr., but you can link to all of them there as well as YouTube. And if you go there, you also can see an excerpt of the first chapter of my book, a PDF download of the first 15, 20 pages of my book to preview and peruse, so you can get excited about signing up for the pre-release. So the best way to connect is go to my website, and then all the various vehicles you would want to connect with me are accessible through RamseyJJr.com.
And I would encourage everyone to go and check out his website and his social media. I follow him on everything. And obviously, if you're reading his book, I'm greatly encouraged. And I know that you will be encouraged as well, to all of our listeners. And he's always posting encouraging things. He's sharing with you about his dreams as they're happening and giving you words of wisdom, encouragement, hope, and more. And so thank you so much, Ramsey. You had a joy having you on the show tonight, and I look forward to catching up with you soon and having us partner together even more.
It is I who thanks you, and all of your listeners as well should be thankful for you creating this platform to empower us all. Continued success. I know it won't be long till we do it again.
Awesome.
Right now we have NDRE with Grains. Keep listening to the Sade Champagne Show on Grind Hard Radio. Are you looking for a dynamic musical artist, performer, host, or inspirational speaker for your next event? What about a mentor, vocal instructor, or workshop leader for your school, company, or seminar? Contact Sade Champagne for countless professional services that are sure to fit your particular need. She is an in-demand, award-winning, and critically acclaimed musical artist, performer, inspirational speaker, and entrepreneur who is invited all around the world. She is known for having a powerful voice, turning ideas into action, creating, directing, and executive producing popular, charitable, and inspirational events, and bringing out the gold in others. Her services are for all ages, backgrounds, and environments. Contact Sade Champagne at SadeChampagnemusic@gmail.com. That's Sade Champagne Music @gmail.com to book her for your next event or project.
The Living with Fearless Joy segment on the Sade Champagne radio show features Rick and Melissa Wood, who run a ministry called Fearless Joy Ministries. Rick and Melissa have a passion to see people free from religion, free from fear, and living lives full of freedom and full of joy. Melissa has authored a book titled Eliminating Fear: How Removing the Fear of God Leads to Removing Fear in Life. If you would like to book Rick and Melissa for any speaking engagements, conferences, or to talk about eliminating fear, you can reach them at the website eliminatingfear.com. Just make sure to go to the Contact Us page where you can get more information and you can communicate with them personally.
You can find Melissa at Melissa Joy Wood at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and you can find Rick at Rick C. Wood at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And right here on Grind Hard Radio on the Sade Champagne Show.
Welcome back to the Sade Champagne Show on Grind Hard Radio. Our next segment of the night is Living with Fearless Joy. Join pastors, authors, and speakers Rick and Melissa Wood as they share tips and testimonies for living a life free from fear and full of joy. Hashtag Living with Fearless Joy to ask them questions and join in the conversation.
Hey guys, Rick here from the Living with Fearless Joy segment, and Melissa and I are here tonight to talk to you about something that's kind of on our heart. I don't want to get too deep or too detailed, but as pastors for 12 years, we dealt with this topic quite often, and I think for some listeners out there, you'd be interested in this. But a lot of times when we talk about, like our segment's entitled Living with Fearless Joy, and so how can we have fearless joy when we approach sacred texts like the Bible? And a lot of times the way people have treated the Bible is, or the way we've approached the Bible has led to fear and lack of joy because based out of our lack of understanding of what the Bible is and how it functions. And some people are even afraid to read it or study it because they don't know how to approach it or handle it. So one of my passions, and this may be boring to some of you, but it's exciting to me, is to talk about that and to remove some of the fear and some of the joylessness when it comes to understanding this thing called the Bible. First of all, when the Bible was written, it wasn't called the Holy Bible. It was actually, the Bible is not a book, it's a library. It's compiled and written over thousands of years. The two Testaments, you have the what's called traditionally the Old Testament. I prefer to say the Hebrew Scriptures and the New Testament. And the Old Testament, the Hebrew Scriptures, have 39 books, and it was written over thousands of years. And the New Testament is written over hundreds of years, and it has 27 books. So you have to understand, and all those together are what the church has decided to call the canon. And if you come from a Catholic background, you have things in the middle, some books that the Protestant, quote-unquote Protestant Bible doesn't have. So there's all these kind of things that can seem daunting. But the thing I want to just emphasize is this is not one book, but this common thread of God throughout humanity, and these things that have been used for thousands of years, these stories and these scriptures. We have to understand there's multiple cultures, there's multiple languages, there's multiple people. So part of, to me, removing some of the fear, which may increase more fear in some people, is that you just can't approach this and try to use the Bible to say what you want it to say. It does take some quote-unquote work, but it's kind of fun and exciting if that's what you're interested in. I think that it's worth the effort, but just you have to know that going in. The text that you're reading, and a lot of people make the mistake of doing this, which I think leads to fear, is that they open their Bible up and they think that written right there, what's written right on that page, is written to them today in 2016. Now, it can be applied to them today, but what I'm saying is like the original audience, the original author, the original language, and all that has nothing to do with us. And so it's important for us to peel back the layers and see how to interpret that and understand that. And I'll talk more about that in a second, but Melissa has something to add.
Yeah, one of the things that I learned quite a few years back was that I need to view the Bible more like a documentary instead of a commentary. I'm sure some of you have heard little acronyms like Bible stands for basic instructions before leaving Earth. And those always bothered me because as I grew up reading the Bible, I'm like, well, there's a lot of issues I face in life that I can't find the answers to in the Bible. And we're talking like it's supposed to be our manual. Well, I don't think that was ever God's heart or intent for the Bible. Actually, the Bible is more like a documentary. It's like the story of how God has worked through the lives of countless people, Old Testament and New. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't amazing principles for us to live by, that there aren't, just great tools for living a life of victory that we can find within the pages of the Bible. I mean, I love the Bible. It has been a strength to me my entire life. But honestly, I get more from it when I can step back and look at the whole story of how God has redeemed people and worked in their lives. The example that I like to use the most is, let's think about the story of Esther in the Old Testament. Esther literally had to sleep her way to the top to get influence with the king and change the life of her people. Now, does that mean that we as women are all literally supposed to sleep our way to the top to get the influence that we need in life? Well, I would hope not. But what we can see is that in the midst of a depraved culture, that God was able to redeem that story and make something powerful out of it. And you see that over and over again through the Bible.
See, God's not afraid of having his story recorded for us in one place, and how he interacts or how people have viewed him even. And you can even look at the Bible, and there's things that are said in there about God that aren't true about him. And, God's accused of things that's not true, but that God allows that because it's not, like Melissa said, a commentary. This is a documentary of how we've interacted. You got to remember that, when we started writing this, when people started writing this, they didn't have a perfect view of God. They didn't understand him fully and completely. So you have this, what we call progressive revelation, as God is peeling back the cataracts from our eyes and revealing himself to us. In fact, Jesus himself makes the claim that no one has ever seen God until him, that Jesus is the perfect revelation, easy for me to say, revelation of who God is, of his character and his nature. So every other scripture to me has to bow its knee, quote unquote, to the person and the revelation of Jesus and who he says God is and what he says God is like. So that brings me to the last section we're going to talk about here, is this understanding of how we interpret and read this thing. So if this, it can maybe increase more fear in you. You're like, well, I'm nervous now. I have to be smart to read the Bible. Well, yes and no. Obviously, there's two types of reading for me. There's devotional reading. There's teaching reading. You can open up a psalm and it can speak to you, and you're going, wow, that makes me feel good today. And that's fine. It's inspirational. But if you're going to go teach that psalm to somebody and tell people what it means and try to create a doctrine or a way of living or practice of faith around that, you better do some deeper work than just having it inspire you. So I like to say that when we start with reading the Bible, we have to have a starting place. And to me, the starting place has to be the person of Jesus, the character of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We have to start there, that Jesus is perfect theology, that through Jesus, he has to be the lens by which we view all the other scriptures, right? That everything else, Jesus says, my revelation is superior. So one of the things you have to do is you have to read the Bible in context. You can't just flip open. I had a friend of mine, he just used to leave his Bible out by the window, and whatever page the wind blew it to, he would read that and hallelujah, amen, and he had his devotional. The problem is, you can, just like any story, you can jump in the middle of the story and you have no idea what's going on. So you got to read the Bible in context. You have to read the surrounding scriptures. You have to see where it's located. You got to know who's writing it and why, and read all about that. And we don't understand a lot of these things. And Jesus used all kinds of strange language that's not familiar to us. And so you have to do some due diligence before you start saying, this is what exactly the Bible means. People don't, a lot of times we just regurgitate what we've been taught from other people without digging in ourselves. So you got to read it in context. You have to read, that means reading what chapter it's in and what book it's in and who wrote it and what testament it's in, these kind of things as you apply it to your life. One of the things that a good friend of mine, Ron Fisher, used to tell me, he says, you have to understand the there and then before you can apply it to the here and now. So we have to understand what this meant for the original audience and who this was originally speaking to before we can take application. I think of it like a movie. When I go see a movie, I leave the movie, and oftentimes Melissa and I will discuss some of the themes, some of the things they wanted you to think about that the story was pointing to. And so now we're applying that story, even though it could be totally different to us, we're applying the lessons from that story to our lives.
I just want to interject here as we're wrapping up that as we're talking about understanding the Bible and studying and going deeper, that this is not to create some sort of mentality that somehow Rick and I are distrusting of the Bible and so we have to go deeper. Honestly, our desire for study and understanding shows that we have a high value for the Bible. And again, we're not trying to dismiss the importance of devotional reading and how you can open up a scripture and immediately God speaks, because he does, and I've experienced that my whole life. But when you decide to go deeper and really understand what God has been saying for, centuries, and look at it all through the lens of Jesus and choose to study and choose to go deeper, that your value of the Bible actually increases because you see how beautiful it was all put together and how actually it can be applied to our lives in a more profitable way than just taking it for whatever you've been taught your whole lives.
So we're going to close. I'm going to just read one quote from one of the people who's taught me a lot about this. Peter Enns, and he says, in the same way that Jesus must be both God and human, the Bible is also a divine and human book. The Bible is not an abstract, otherworldly book dropped out of heaven. It was connected to and therefore spoke to those ancient cultures. Precisely because Christianity is a historical religion, God's Word reflects that various historical moments, in which Scripture was written. So just remember that as you're approaching that. If you need help, get help. If you don't get help, try to get help somewhere. It's just find help and dig in and do your own stuff.
We are glad that you guys tuned in today with Living with Fearless Joy, and we look forward to chatting with you guys next time. You can find Rick on social media at Rick C. Wood on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and you can find me at Melissa Joy Wood on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and you can always go to my website, eliminatingfear.com.
Thanks, guys. Have a great evening.
Our final segment of the night is Wellness Made Simple. Join certified holistic life coach, clinical aromatherapist, and inspirational speaker Veronica Esquivel-Winters to get some easy and practical tips on how to start living a holistic life, bringing unity to your mind, body, and spirit. Hashtag Wellness Made Simple to ask her your health and wellness questions and join in the conversation.
Hi, my name is Veronica Esquivel-Winters, and welcome to the Wellness Made Simple segment on the Sade Champagne Show on Grind Hard Radio. Today on Wellness Made Simple, I wanted to share a few tips on how we can cultivate a positive outlook, mindset, and attitude in our everyday life. As people say, and we've all heard, life happens. But I like to think that what really counts is how we choose to handle it. Life can bring us a variety of challenges, change, to happiness, and everything in between. But if we can choose to keep a positive outlook and attitude, it can keep us motivated and allow us to keep moving forward. How we view things, others, and ourselves is key. We can either choose to stay in a quote-unquote rut, allow our circumstances to determine who we are, or simply just give up. Or we can choose to lift ourselves up, speak life into ourselves, and not allow our current circumstances to determine who we are. With that being said, I would love to share a few simple tips that can help you begin to cultivate this in your everyday life. One of the first things we can do to help us keep a positive outlook is to believe in ourselves. Being your very own number one fan is key. Nobody knows you better than you know yourself. Speaking positive things over yourself, complimenting yourself, and choosing to love yourself are so powerful. Not only will it build you up, make you unstoppable and confident, it will make you feel good. And when that happens, we begin to value ourselves and others and begin to see things from a positive light. Next is gratitude. Being thankful for what we have, the people in our lives, and life itself. We can begin to practice this by saying at least one thing or person we are grateful for every day. Do something new. It can be from taking that dream vacation to a place you've never been before, or simply taking a new route home from work. Next is be silly. It's okay to let loose. Make yourself laugh, others laugh. It's okay to not take yourself or life so serious all the time. Next is having a support team. Having a support team is so important and crucial. At least I can speak so for myself in my own personal life. I personally have a support team of people that are my best friends that I know that I can call or text at any time, and they will always be there to listen to me, to help me understand and see things from a positive point of view, a positive outlook, and most importantly, remind me of who I truly am. Because of this, I have been able to go through some very challenging times in my personal life, looking at things from a positive attitude, being able to still move forward and keep going on. The next one is go easy. Go easy on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't put yourself down. Just continue to uplift yourself. And even when you don't feel like you are quote-unquote worthy of it, or you're not even feeling like you deserve it, just know in your heart that you do. You do not have to be so hard on yourself. Love yourself. Forgive yourself. Next is eat healthy. Eating healthy and having a well-balanced diet not only helps us glow and radiate from the inside out, it gives us energy and helps us feel good about ourselves. Next is rest and unplug. Resting is so important. It literally helps our body rebuild itself. Also pampering ourselves by getting a massage, a haircut, manicure, pedicure, or just lounging at our favorite beach, park, or garden is very life-giving. Next is forgive, let go, and find inner healing. This can seriously be another segment all on its own, but for now, what I wanted to share is that forgiveness equals freedom. When we can forgive ourselves and others, it brings true inner healing, and inner healing brings us peace. I'm going to end with one of my personal favorites, and that's smile. Smiling is proven to shift our mood. Smiling is also contagious and can lead to laughter, which is very healing. So smile. I'm sure you all have beautiful smiles. So that concludes our segment for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Once again, this is Veronica Esquivel-Winters with the Wellness Made Simple segment on the Sade Champagne Show on Grind Hard Radio.
Wow, what a phenomenal episode tonight. I am greatly encouraged and inspired, and I trust that you are as well. Thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight. Thank you for downloading, subscribing, and sharing my radio show. Next week is our Season 2 finale, and boy, do I have some surprises and announcements for you all. We will have multiple surprise celebrity guests coming through. We also have a brand new Motivational Moments with Lisa segment, Living with Fearless Joy with Rick and Melissa segment, What's Going On with Christina Renee segment, and a new Entrepreneurs on the Move segment. Thanks to Grind Hard Radio for the opportunity to create my own radio show. Thanks to Travis Miller for creating and producing my theme song, and to Scott Swish for mixing the song. Thanks to my celebrity guests, Viktor and Ramsey Jay Jr., and thanks to my special guest, Nathan Martell. Thanks to my castmates, Rick and Melissa Wood, Christina Renee, Veronica Esquivel-Winters, and Ayakunle Falama. Our final song of the night is Hillsong United with Prince of Peace. No matter what you're going through tonight, God is able to bring peace to your heart, life, and mind. You are never alone or forgotten. You are loved and cared for. I'm Sade Champagne, and thanks for listening to my radio show. I don't ever take your support for granted. We'll see you next Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Time for our Season 2 finale right here on Grind Hard Radio.
Where dreamers dream, where dreams come true. There's no limit to what we can do. Turning no's to yes, leaving doubt behind, releasing the stress. We were born to shine.